Thank you, Aarti, for setting the context and calling for action. Discipline, resilience, and leadership. These qualities define success, whether in battlefield or in boardrooms. In military, women stand shoulder to shoulder, proving that strength knows no gender. In the corporate world, too, they bring the same tenacity, strategic thinking, and unwavering commitment to excellence. Their journey reminds us that leadership is not about where you come from, it's about how you rise. On this note, let me invite on stage the moderator for the keynote address, Mr. Anil Ghelani. Mr. Anil has been working for the DSP Group since 2003. He is currently head of passive investments and products. Previously, he served as the business head and CIO at DSP BlackRock Pension Fund Managers. Earlier in his career at DSP, he led the risk and quantitative analysis team, providing quant research inputs and buy-side credit research on companies across various sectors. Mr. Anil is a CFA charter holder, chartered accountant, and holds a Bachelor's of Commerce degree. I request you to please come on stage.
Thank you, Khyati, for the very kind introduction, and wish you all a very warm welcome, friends. It's great to be here today. Not because it's anything to do with celebrating International Women's Day, but it's great to be here today to be able to kickstart a very unique context. The reason why we are here today is to celebrate some of the achievements. The reason why we are here today is to create a stronger platform for the growth of our community. So it's my pleasure and privilege to be here and to meet with all of you. As we move ahead with the keynote address, I'd just like to set a broad context. Very often, many of the friends from the finance world, including many of the colleagues who are part of our CFA community, we are often looking at a lot of areas of career pivot. Many of us are young professionals or middle management professionals or very senior professionals, but very often we are constantly thinking of something in our mind to transition, maybe in the near future, maybe in the long future, right? Everybody with me? How many of us over here are candidates of the CFA program? A few of them. So most certainly for all of you at least, there is something in mind that, okay, I'm trying to enhance my knowledge. I'm trying to gain a very good, globally recognized professional qualification, which will possibly help me do whatever I'm doing in a much more better way and probably help me in a transition in my career or a pivot in my career. So today, friends, to talk about one such very interesting pivot which you and I can't even imagine or think about, right? Many of us might be thinking a pivot that, okay, for example, for me, I joined asset management industry in the back office. Many times people have a standard pivot career in our industry. Okay, I'm part of some kind of a support function, some kind of back office. I want to move into some kind of a role which is a business role or a front office, right? Broadly, everybody with me, at least part of the CFA world. This transition, friends, is very different. This is a transition from somebody who has served our armed forces at the highest, level of commitment and then transitioned into the corporate world. So today we are fortunate to have with us Lieutenant Colonel Tripti Arya. She is recently retired from the armed forces. She has served the Indian Army for a long period of time across different missions and segments of the Army. I'm sure many of you would have read her bio before you came, or it is part of our CFA Society India mobile app. Khyati mentioned about it. One more quick show of hands. How many of you over here do not have the CFA Society India app downloaded on your mobile phone? Do not have it. Just raise your hands. For all of you, dinner is not served today until you download the mobile app. So for me also, I had stepped out 2 minutes to refresh my memory of how I'm going to read out her bio, apart from describing just what I did right now. So I will take a minute to read out few key bullet points which I had captured, because it's very important to bring the context before Tripti Madam starts her discussion. So Tripti has been a distinguished army official, and she has had a career marked by a series of successful missions, including which indicate skills which are exceptional in terms of logistics, aerial deliveries, casualty evacuations, counter-insurgencies. So friends, very often when we talk about our further enhancement of knowledge or soft skills, many of the friends from our L&D community, from our HR community, they say, एक काम करो, एक ये soft skill training में चले जाओ, increase your presentation skills, right? इनके field में अलग है, इनका sessions में कैसा होता है कि go for supply chain management, combat management, and she's also qualified professional counseling psychologist where she helps support the mental well-being of soldiers and their families. So just to give some context about the well-rounded, diversified exposure experience, Tripti Madam has also been a part of certain missions which have been in the world's highest battlefield at the Siachen. So something very different, skills in advanced shooting, close quarter combat, high altitude warfare, and aerial operations. So it's something very out of the picture, out of the way for us. And from the learnings of this kind of role and this kind of skill sets, how to put them to use in the corporate world. So we are proud and privileged today to have Tripti Madam join us today for the keynote address. Tripti Madam, wish you a warm welcome. And friends, while Tripti is giving her session, I'm sure a lot of you will have a lot of questions which come to mind. Please keep noting them down and we will collate all of that and we'll have a discussion after her chat. Thank you. Bye.
Good evening, everyone. How's the Josh? Doesn't look like. Let me ask you again. How's the Josh? Third time, okay? This is the final check. How's the Josh? Perfect. Perfect to start this. Thank you so much, Anil. Thank you, Aarti, for giving me this opportunity. Let me know if it is visible to you on the screens there. I'll just put it on full screen, just a moment. Is it visible now? Okay. So it's a sheer privilege for me to stand here in front of you today and to talk about something which is, like Anil just mentioned, the key skills here. What sounds alien to you, something like this now being part of the corporate, there are many such, skills and terminologies which are alien to me. So don't worry, we'll talk about all these. And I'm sure by the end of this session, you will be more familiar to these terminologies and otherwise also with the Indian Army. So guys, I'm here to talk about something. Firstly, the organization that I'm part of, or I was part of till September 2024, is one of the most elite organizations of our country, the armed forces, the most noblest profession of the country, the profession of arms. Indian Army has given me a privilege to serve with them for 15 years. That includes my training period as well. So before I start and come to the main points and the subject of the today's discussion, I would like to take a minute here to just give you a small introduction of self and just a declaration. All the pictures in the presentation are real pictures, less this Fauji with a kid. That's not my father. Okay. So guys, I come from a very small village, Budana. I'm giving it as a fact check here. Because I personally feel in today's world, we should take it as if a girl like me, who comes from a place which was not even heard of ever. Tell me how many of you knew of this place? I'm sure none. So that's what I'm saying. If a person like me who hails from a place like Budana, a small place in district Hisar of Haryana, if I can achieve this in life, so can we all. So my father served in the Indian Army for 36 years. And I was born in the family which had folds of army to give me as a legacy to hold on to or to actually continue with. My mother as a silent warrior was supporting our desires and dreams when my father was busy inculcating discipline, duty, sacrifice, honor in us. My mother, as a silent warrior, was giving us a pathway of humility, love, and affection to prepare us for this world. When I was in 4th standard, my father motivated me to join Scouts and Guides. I had no clue what it is about because he, being a uniformed person, he always wanted to see us in a very disciplined life structure and a very different manner altogether, as I would say. And I'm sure you all are aware how army life is and what army cantonments look like. So, the gate itself starts giving the reflection of discipline, the courage, and all of those things that we talk of very often. So my father motivated me to join Scouts and Guides as Bulbul in class 4th. And that was the first time when I actually donned a uniform other than the school uniform. And the kind of fascination I had with this, life, to have a pattern in life, to have a discipline sort of a thing from the starting itself as a kid, it really fascinated me a lot. And coming from an army family, it was very natural for me to actually pursue this path. Seeing my father in uniform every day, seeing my mother living that army way of life, it was very natural to come in me. So to continue with the same, I joined NCC in college. 2007, I commanded Republic Day Parade contingent for the armed forces. And to progress on the same path in a more professional manner, I joined OTA Officers Training Academy, Chennai, in 2009, where I got trained for a year's time. So the training is all about how you can train your mind. We can train our bodies, we can train our, get upskilled in different fields, but how does it happen? What actually motivates you and what actually gets you on the platform to actually start from some point that, yes, I have to do this? It all comes from here. So the academy tells you, as the bottom line and the top line of the training, it is all here. So you have to make yourself mentally strong to get adapted to anything that comes your way and everything that comes your way. And that is actually what helps you when you actually go through the journey of army life in different scenarios and different terrains altogether. And as a grown-up one now, I take it as a sheer responsibility and a very serious responsibility to pass on to next generations. I had a discussion with my father in the morning today, wherein I was discussing, there's so many things that like Modi ji said once, Har Ghar Jhanda. Why not Har Ghar Fauji? How many of you have a Fauji in your families? I mean, I'm sure you must be having, and you must be, oh, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, my aim to say this particular thing, Har Ghar Fauji, is very categorical in saying, because if I ask a mother, would you send your kid to borders? She would, some or the other way, she would tell me, no, it's not possible. We only have one kid. It's not possible because we are not well. There are 100 things to say no, but you have to have only one thing to say yes to it. What could that be? Patriotism? Yeah? The will to serve to your country in a manner that nobody else can. I'm not denying that other professions don't offer service to the nation, but the way Army does it, the Armed Forces does it as tri-services, Indian Army, Indian Air Force, Indian Navy, nobody does it. I take all the pride in saying that when a soldier stands at a border, he's standing there with his life in his hand to offer it for the country. And for him, his country comes first, even before his family. To actually understand this, that family se bhi pehle desh is a very big thing. And then to decide to give one child to the country is a very big decision and a very courageous one. So, coming back to the introduction part, my father always wanted, we are 4, I have 3 siblings. My father always wanted one of us to join the forces to keep the legacy on. And it so happened that 3 of us were in the forces, and only one couldn't make it for some circumstantial reasons. My elder sister, she served Indian Air Force for 15 years. My brother is still serving officer in Ladakh region. So I personally feel if your family is supportive of your dreams and desires, me being a girl, and like I said, I come from a very small place where literally girls get married right after they pass their 12th exams. And my father to take it as a challenge that I would give my daughters those wings. It might find a fancy word to give wings to your daughters, but it actually is that realistic to us. To give us that opportunity, to give us that path to walk on, which none of, if I have to like literally quote it in a way, there is not even a single person in Budana who has been part of the Indian Army so far. I'm 40 years old, nearly touching 40 now. Not even a single person that we have seen. So thanks to my father for giving us this opportunity and wings to do what we wanted to do in our lives. And yeah. Okay. Too much of family. Okay. Coming back to my army life. So ladies and gentlemen, I have served almost in all possible terrains in our country, from icy Himalayas, Siachen Glacier, sandy deserts in Rajasthan, to jungles in Northeast, and to valleys and passes in GNK. Every terrain you name it, and I would say I've done it. I've been there and I've done it. I can proudly say that. So when I got commissioned in a new racing battalion that was in Nagaland. The place which I got to know on my commissioning letter was Zakhama. I'm sure, very rare people would have heard of this name. So when I got my posting, I was literally trying to locate this place on the map. Where exactly is this place? And then I realized it is somewhere in Nagaland. Very beautiful place. It was a new racing battalion, a lot of learning in that battalion unit is what we call it. So starting something from zero to getting it to a platform where it can actually go live on its own with a strength of, say, 800 people, and being in the leadership role for those 800 people who look up to you every day was a big thing, and it was a big challenge for me. And as a beginner in the armed forces, it was really a big challenge, which with a lot of support from my mentors in the army, commanding officers, and a lot of other people in the unit, subordinates and colleagues, it was still doable because they all were there to support me. And this is what I feel this army and 15 years of my personal experience, and then as a kid for whatever time I was with my parents, this is what I am today in front of you, and this is what army has made me. So I owe it all to the army. So sometimes in solitude, there were places like, I'll talk of J&K. I was posted at a place called Punch. It's a town at the Indo-Pak border, where there were no females. For a stretch about 7 months, I was there alone, and in a set of 400 people under me to command, not under me exactly, but my team, I was commanding. To stay in that setup initially was a little, difficult, I would say. But once you realize that these people are really looking up to you for your decisions, for your ownership, to take responsibility, to give decisions every day for every small and big thing. And understand one thing, unlike any other profession, this profession involves lives. We are talking of human beings, right? So your decisions are very, very critical to each one of them you actually are you are commanding. So you have to be very critical about what you tell them to do. And believe you me, in the army, in the armed forces broadly, you tell your boy, and he will die for you. That kind of the confidence they have for you as a leader. They hold so much faith in you and your decisions that they will do actually whatever you tell them blindly. And that's how wars work, If people will start questioning your orders and your decisions, it'll be very difficult. So to actually make them do something in those kind of scenarios, in conventional wars, it is not easy. So you have to build up that rapport with your men to command them first. And I always feel army has taught me is a very big lesson in bold letters. We like to be a leader, but we need to understand how people follow you first. And it is very important to respect those who follow you. We as leader want all the respect, but we have to understand as a leader, you have to respect who follow you. Like I said, they have a blind faith in you. You have to give all the credit to that. And you have to keep it secured. And that can only happen when you're all there for your team in the right spirit. And yes, in whatever scenario, come what may, never leave anybody behind. And I'm sure this goes in corporate world also. It's been 4 months of my corporate journey. I hanged my uniform in September 24 last year. And November this year joined Genpact at Jodhpur as a VP operations. And I personally feel the set of team that I've been given there, it's not very different. Broad structure of the organization still remains the same. These people are again looking for your decisions. They want the good for the company. You want to grow together. You want the success together. So if we all work in the same direction, there is no doubt that we will not grow. We will not be successful in that direction. So never leave anybody behind. There'll be some slow passers. There'll be some, you have all kind of people in your team. So take them all together and lead from front. So before hanging the uniform, we as armed forces person, army takes care of you really well, let me tell you this. So when you plan to exit, they give you a specially designed course. It's called Resettlement course, which you can pursue from any of the IIMs or any business school in the country. So I got the opportunity to do my Resettlement course at IIM Mumbai. It was a 6-month special design course for armed forces people, just to give you a glance of what happens in corporate world and what exactly you can think of yourself to be in which role basically. Because here terminologies are way different. Like for me to actually understand that I'll be fit for a SCM role or to do an operation role, it took me quite a while to understand this. So this course specifically helped me a lot. But while transitioning, and while I was undergoing this course, I realized there were few things which still can be taken as a key opportunities to work in the corporate world. And key points, or you can say it as the key skills, I would say, in correct words, key skills, yeah. So, discipline and integrity, loyalty and duty, leadership values, courage and selfless service, resilience, adaptability, and esprit de corps. I'm sure these words are nothing new to you. In your daily routine, in your corporate journey or life, you are also using or kind of living these words every day. But how, we always say, you can take out a soldier from the army, but you can never take out army from a soldier. So these are the things which I'm still continue to hold close to me to work in corporate world. Because I'm sure if it has helped, these qualities or these values have helped me so far in my journey, and that too in such different and difficult scenarios, it will still help me achieve my goals and, achieve a path of success in the organization, whichever organization I work for in future and now also. So, and here we'll basically discuss or talk about how these were there in the army, how these qualities I was, kind of related to in the army, and how these qualities or values are can be translated to the corporate world. So discipline and integrity. Army precisely round the clock works only one principle, discipline and commitment to the country. But how do we see this in corporate? Do we really need discipline in corporate? I think it's a very basic thing for any organization. Leave organization. We want discipline in our houses also. You want your kids to be up by 6, to be in school by 7, be back by 1:30, have lunch, do homework, sleep by 9. Don't we do it that way? We all do, right? So we all, in a way, smaller or the bigger passes, we do take it as a very important factor to run our daily lives also. So this is nothing new. But to actually hold on to it and to live your life or the organization which you're part of, to do things that way, takes a little motivation and takes a little extra effort. Because it is very easy to just let it go 6:30, 7:30, it's the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. If you go by the things, you go by the timings, you go by the rituals of the organizations and the protocols laid, it is, then you can say, okay, fine, my organization and myself in the organization, we are disciplined. So that kind of discipline is what I'm talking about here. adherence to timelines, protocols, and best practices, self-discipline. We as human beings, we have a tendency to take shortcuts. We all do. In the long runs in the academy, even I used to take, and I used to get caught by the ustad, and I would get bigger punishments then. For a 5-kilometer run, which I was supposed to do in a precise time, and if I take a shortcut, I was made to run 40 kilometers. So it's like, stupidity to do that way. So it's always best thing to do is stick to your things, which is a laid down thing to your organization, stick to it and adhere to it. Ethical decisions making for a trustworthy corporate culture. Honesty in business dealings, to keep it transparent between your clients and stakeholders that you're dealing with, it's very important. We always, like I said, it's a human tendency. When we know this thing will bubble up or it'll actually flare up in front of the client, we try to hide things, which is not a very good thing to do. Though I'm very new to this corporate world, sorry, and just in case if somebody feels that she's just 4 months old and talking like, something, just pardon me for that. But just trying to put in my experience of 4 months with the Army in equation here. Create a culture of punctuality, accountability, and efficiency. That is what will formulate a disciplined structure in the organization. Coming to loyalty and duty. In the Army, like I previously mentioned, for a soldier, it's his country first, even before his family, his kids. It's his country first. It should not be any different in the organization that we work for in corporate world. If you actually take it as my organization first, you're almost half the way there. Then it is just few things to fall in place and you're on a success path. So loyalty and duty that you serve to your organization has to be like flawless. In a way, it's a human tendency. We get tired, we get exhausted, we get fed up with our bosses. All will happen. This all will happen. It happens in the Army also. It is nothing different. Wherever human beings are there, wherever there are 100 minds together, all this is bound to happen. But to serve in those situations and to render your duty and service in those situations is what is going to matter on a bigger platform. In the academy, we had one saying, one for all for one. And I'm sure it is no different here. If we take it for our teams together, if you want to keep your teams together, take it as reduce the blame game and just say one for all for one. One does the mistake, all gets rogered. One does the good work, we all celebrate together, and vice versa. Coming to leadership values, I'm sure you all are performing in some or the other way your leadership roles in your organization or wherever you're working or you have worked earlier. It is nothing new. This word specifically, this value specifically, if I talk of, it's nothing new. In the Army, we always feel leaders are made and not born. Definitely you need some traits, some qualities to be a leader, but in right kind of environment or circumstances or upbringing or I would say training, you can be made a good leader. If, like I always say, people like me can do it, so anybody can do it, right? So be a leader in your organization. Don't be only restricted to a manager. Whatever portfolio you're handling or the teams you're handling, be a leader for them. They can actually look up to you for decisions. They can actually look up to you for motivation to achieve something like that you have achieved in life. You should be the role model for them to look up to you. Inspire with confidence. If you as a leader are confident enough, so will be your team, so will be your organization to take decisions together with you and to walk the path of success with you. Army leaders commit to their mission as corporate leaders commit to long-term goals and visions. Set small goals. First, I'll achieve this with my team, then we'll achieve a bigger goal, and subsequently, you'll see you're very close to the goal. So set small goals first and then achieve a bigger goal. Coming to courage and service. As a 16-year-old, passed out from a school, ex-NDA, the guy who joins NDA, he's just a 16-year-old kid. Nowadays, NDA is open for lady cadets also. Earlier, it was not in picture. 2 years back, Army decided to have lady cadets in the NDA Academy also, National Defense Academy. So now girls have also started going to the academy. I mean, for 4 years training. Earlier it was only 1 year training for lady cadets. So for a 16-year-old to take that decision for himself that I will give my life to the nation or I will serve for the country, don't you think it's courageous enough? Like I said, if I ask mothers today or fathers today for that matter, will you give your child to the nation? Will you send your kid to the borders? I don't think people would be happy to say yes. Very few percentage, right? So that was army, where the courage is always reflecting in your actions, in your decisions, and wherever you're performing in operational roles. But where do we see courage in corporate world? We are not fighting any enemies here. We don't have to kill anybody here. Do we have to, other than our bosses? If at all you have to. So where do we show this courage in the corporate sector? In taking ethical decisions, in standing against unethical practices. It's very difficult. It never comes easy, right? When you have to tell people that this is wrong, it is not coming easy. You will make enemies also in that bargain. You will not be seen in a good picture also. For some time, people will seclude you also. So there will be a lot of pros and cons of standing against unethical practices. And at the same time, for making ethical decisions for the organization. But if you decide it once as a leader, it will really, really help you in the longer run. So that sort of courage is what we look forward to in the corporate sector. Resilience and adaptability. In today's world, every time we pick up a newspaper, we put a news channel, or we scroll down on the Instagram, Facebook, any sort of social media. What do we see? Every now and then something or the another is improvising, some new technologies are coming in place, AI tool is playing big time. There are zillions of apps these days we can actually use for our business, to make it smoother, streamlined, make it better for the users and for ourselves as well. So if we get stuck to something, or we get rigid on some set of rules for the organization, in today's world specifically, we will not be able to grow. We have to be very, very adaptive to changes. As they say, survival of the best. So is here. If you are not ready to adapt new things, new technologies, not ready to work on it personally and also as an organization, it will not benefit the organization then. Then you will lag behind somewhere. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the key points that I wanted to share with you all as my Army learnings to corporate takeaways. And in the end, I would like to summarize it for you all. Never give up attitude. Make it your core strength. Never give up attitude. Never leave anyone behind. One for all for one. Spirit the core for your organization, for your team. Lead from the front as a leader, and country first, organization first. Thank you.
Very much, Tripti, and I would request you to stay on for some time, and we'll have an engaging Q&A. Friends, as and when any thoughts or questions come across in your mind, keep noting them down, and one of our volunteers will be circulating the ये चलेगा कि ये चलेगा? So, very engaging discussion, and in many ways it was a little bit motivating also, and in many ways it was very touching. Really very nice to hear about the journey. Friends, to me, a couple of things stood out in a very big way. First and foremost, at some point of time, age does not really matter in terms of a leadership skill set. You mentioned in a very good way that at one point you were, I forgot the location, but you were at one of the postings where you had got around 800 member team who was in your commandment. And it's something very unique, something very different. Very often like for many of us over here, for me, for example, I have like a 18-member team, but I feel overwhelmed that I have to take care of 18 people and look at their man management issues. So to get started with, I mean, how do you focus on people issues? How do you focus on leading large teams, people who look up to you, like you mentioned that, okay, based on whatever is the signal or whatever is the direction coming from you, they are supposed to implement their next strategy. So how is your experience been? How do you deal with people issues in such large teams or organizations?
Hello, am I audible? So I personally feel, Anil, it is very important to have that sense of belongingness for your organization and for the team that you're working with. We in our families, we always are very careful when we take decisions for our kids and our folks. We are very careful because we know it is going to affect them, right? And if you take that same thing in your organization also, if you have the same sense of belongingness for your people in your team and in the organization, you will never falter on your decisions. So I always take it as when boys used to walk up to me with small issues. My wife is not well, she's pregnant, I have to take leave. He's just come back from leave and again asking for leave. You have to make him understand, I completely understand your problem, where is it coming from, and I completely give you that due. And believe you me, the moment you give it to that boy that I'm there to help you, maybe he himself will come and say ki saab mera kaam ho gaya. He will never come back and say ki saab aapne mujhe chutti nahi di. If I tell him this is the reason we need 40 boys for this particular post, and if you leave we will not be able to perform the same duty with the same strength that is required at the post, he will understand it. Like I said, the sense of belongingness with the boys also is way too high. They completely understand what they are part of. They completely understand what their responsibilities are in those areas, especially in J&K and Indo-China border areas, where there is no scope for compromise, especially on our front. Because on Indo-China front, we know the enemy is way too stronger. We just cannot have a moment of compromise. So I never really felt that way, that people were not, receptive or responsive in any manner. When I wanted them to be receptive for my orders or decisions I made for the betterment of the organization, they were receptive enough. When I wanted them to respond in a certain manner, they were responsive enough. Maybe, like I said, because they had the sense of belongingness for the organization, and that is what helps you in a bigger platform.
Large setup, yeah. No, very interesting. And I think one other thing which caught my attention is you spoke about few key principles which were sort of foundation for everything that you do in the armed forces or in the army. And I was able to recollect that in a very big way with what many of us who are part of the CFA community have done. Friends, if you all recall, like when we were in CFA level 1 through level 2 and through level 3, some of the subjects kept changing and the depth kept moving, but one subject was common across all with around 20% weightage, which was the heaviest weight. Anybody remember? Ethics. And not just while completing our L1, L2 and L3, but even on an ongoing basis in whatever we do today as a part of our day job, running large organizations in the world of finance. I think ethics form a core principle of whatever we do. So is there, if I was to think about, Tripti madam, one such core principle which you feel common between your role as a army official and now your role in corporate, is there or some such principle or some such core fundamental thing you feel has not changed basically, or should not change rather basically, whether you are that side of the world or this side?
I think there can be little less or little more bargains with most of the qualities or values, if I have to say, little less, not much. But something that I would still stick on to, and I completely take it as it has to be 100% is loyalty towards your organization. Because loyalty is one factor which cannot be measured in digits or numbers. It is either there or it's not there. So you have to be like completely loyal to the organization that you're part of. In corporate, I've seen there's a very common practice of leaving jobs, companies after 2 years. So one of my IM mentor, he told me, don't go by that. I asked him, is it the right way to do things in corporate that you do a job with a certain company, leave after 2 years to explore more, to grow in the industry? So he told me, don't do that. You have to gain and you have to earn that loyalty, and you have to show your organization that you're all there for the organization to serve the better. So you have to be very, very loyal to the organization that you're part of, is what I feel.
Oh, that's a very interesting point, and very often we do see that, especially in the world of finance, and it does help in a big way, not just from the perspective of loyalty to the company or to the firm that you work with, but also in terms of helping your own personal growth and career. I mean, I can just speak from my experience. I have been with the company where I work with for the past 22 years, and likewise many of the friends in the room over here I know have associated for a very long period of time. Possibly the logic of loyalty might not be the key factor at play over there, to be very honest, but very good context, something to keep in mind when friends, many of us also are looking at changing our career or trying to switch a job for 10, 15, 20, 30% of monetary changes, of course, which is important, no doubt about that. And one more very interesting thing, holding on to changing jobs and what we spoke earlier about career pivot. And today, many of the young friends, especially who are with us today or who will be watching online, career pivot is a very important thing which many of us are very often aspiring to. And in some way, you have also made a very unique pivot within the armed forces also in multiple specializations and multiple areas. And then now from the armed forces into the corporate world, which is a very unique pivot. And I heard how you described that it was not an easy thing. You had to undergo so many, further knowledge enhancements, which led you to excellent organization. You went to the IIM Mumbai. You learned different skill set. So some thoughts or some guidance to especially younger professionals who are looking to make a career pivot within the world of banking and financial services, our BFSI industry, about what key things to keep in mind when looking for a pivot, whether you should look at some fast change or whether you should focus on some kind of gradual movement, or how do you align your knowledge enhancement, your requisite skill set along with career pivot basically.
So I think, Anil, it is very important firstly to decide what you actually want to be doing from here. If I want to make a transition from here, what am I getting into? So first is your decisiveness, which has to be right in place. Take your decision, own your decision. Now that I've decided I want to be this, I want to do this, I will do this. It only comes with the right aptitude. So if you have the right aptitude to work on the decision that you've made, I don't think it will be any difficult. So to take ownership of your decision is very important. And I feel a lot of time it so happens when we are actually planning to go through transition in various walks of our lives, small role, bigger role, industry change, organization change. We are very fearful, we are afraid, we are scared. What if it doesn't work for us? Just let go of that feeling first of all. Just remove this word from your dictionary. There's something called fear. There is no such word in my dictionary, at least. I have never really, one of my interviews, I remember one of my interviewing officer asked me, what is your biggest fear, or give me 2 fears that you have. I told him, sir, I don't have any fear of nothing at all. And this word literally doesn't really exist in my dictionary. So get rid of this feeling that something will go bad. So what if it will go bad? We are human beings, we can make it work in some or the other way. So firstly, decide, be decisive, be very particular in what you want to do. Second, take ownership of your decision and be with the right aptitude, like I said. If you don't have the right aptitude, your decisions are bound to fail. They will not work in your favor. So yeah.
No, that's very, very precise and wonderful point you made, and I think very useful to keep in mind. First of all, make sure you have the right attitude and the right aptitude, and second, don't fear. Yeah. And very often, one more thing to carry on further is don't even fear to take gradual changes. If you want to move from role A to role B and there is an intermediate role in terms of the other roles, then it's something which definitely you should definitely go for basically.
They say और कुछ नहीं तो क्या होगा? तजुर्बा होगा.
Absolutely.
So be it.
If any of questions are coming through, you can please keep sharing, and Nivas or somebody will keep collecting your thoughts, questions, and we'll quickly try and answer them. But just raise your hand and somebody will come to your desk and pick up your question cards. So one very interesting thing, and connecting today's concept and theme as well of women empowerment. Some part of it you very beautifully explained how your journey has been, but how important do you think is the role played by our social ecosystem or our family cover, and how it helps you to excel in your career? I mean, some thoughts around that. Is it very crucial, or how do you see that?
So Anil, it's like, we are part of a country wherein the family is a very, very important part of all our lives, right? We all are so attached to our families. So for your family to play that role in your career making is very, very important. Like I just mentioned, if my father would not have supported our dreams or our career choices, we would not have achieved what we have achieved today in life. So it is very important to actually commit from the very first stage, that is your family. Society, people outside your house, organization, they all will accept you. First, your family has to accept you and your choices and your decisions. They have to accept it and nurture it in a way that you actually can achieve something that you have desired of. So,
great.
It is very important to have family support.
Very true.
We always say that, I remember once I wanted to be an air hostess. I told my father I want to join Frank Finn. He said,
wow,
okay, fine, you can do it, but I'm sure you will not like it. So little guidance.
Very interesting.
And a push also at the same time. He never stopped me from doing it. I had just completed my graduation, and he in that, I had few friends in my college who were in Franklin. I would see their life. They would, deck up every day, do good, fancy things. I was very fascinated. So I told my father, I want to join this as my career. Yeah. And he said, okay, fine, do it, but I can give you it in writing. You will not like it.
Was this when you had already joined? Was it already when you had joined and you were part of the armed forces before that?
No, I had given my CDS exam by then.
Okay.
And it was right after, I think a month after that, I asked him, can I do this also? Can I explore this angle also, or, tangent also? He said, okay, fine, go ahead. Until then, I had not received my CDS exam results.
Got it.
And thankfully, I didn't go that
Great.
way.
No, and it's a very good way to put it, that there was a comfort that you do and pursue your choice and your dream, but at the same time with the correct guidance. That
yes, and I remember when I cleared my CDS exam, my sister who served in the Air Force, she cleared it for both Officers Training Academy, that is Army, and for Indian Air Force Academy also. And so was the case with me. And he gave us the choice. जिसको जो join करना है कर लो. मैं किसी को नहीं बोलूँगा कि Army करना है कि Air Force करना है. And the choice was left to us, the decision was left to us to make.
That's great.
I'm glad we made that decision in life.
No, that's great, yeah. Some of the very good questions are coming up and I'm trying to do justice and pick up as many as we can. Some of them I'll try to keep it as very quick fire answer, so one very interesting question that how important do you think is to take fast decisions or decisions based on just gut feel, because serving in some of the difficult situations, of course thinking about your difficult situations puts our difficult situations to nothing. We are at the most deciding कि हाँ भाई GSEC का 2 basis point ऊपर जा रहा है नहीं जा रहा है, मैडम announcement कुछ आ रहा है तो क्या होने वाला है, और what flow is happening of some of the investor and my some ETF's basket is going to move up by a couple of basis points. Well, I mean, it sounds very meaningless, but how important do you think, or how much importance should we take to taking decisions based on gut feel, or or fast decisions?
Firstly, I never compare any two organizations.
Sure.
Every organization has
of
got
course.
a different role to play.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, I would advocate the very concept of making decisions fast but at the same time it has to be very, very critical, because at the end of the day it is going to affect something or the other. If not you, maybe somebody you are giving it to, right? I mean, that decision is going to impact someone's life or some organization in some or the other manner. So it has to be fast, but at the same time very, very critical.
No, great, very, very interesting. One very interesting question has come up that very often, friends, we think about work-life balance. Now, today for many of our volunteer colleagues, Monica Madam has flown in from Delhi, Alokita is there from Delhi, Naveen sir is there, living a very important day job. And many of the volunteer colleagues have been involved in putting this together since the past couple of weeks, spending a lot of time even on weekends and late evenings. So work-life balance sometimes in corporate world seems very blurred basically, and very often we think that अरे हाँ यार ये इतने senior बंदे हैं इनको तो बहुत chill होगा, work-life balance बहुत अच्छा होगा. How do you see work-life balance in now your current new role in corporate world versus what you used to see in, let's say, the army? And any comparisons, or do you keep a focused time, or how are you able to do justice to doing a good work-life balance and focus on your personal life?
Oh, I'm very happy here.
Okay.
In corporate, I get 2 days off. Like really off. Nobody touches me on those particular days. No calls, no messages, no Teams calls. Whereas that was not the case in the army. In the army, even if my parents were in Chandigarh, I was in Patiala, which was just a 45 minutes drive. I was not allowed to go on weekends also, because like they always say, soldier is always on a duty and you're not allowed to move out of your stations. So, but in corporate, yes, here is my personal opinion. I don't know how it actually works out in the other's life. It could be little easy to maintain work-life balance here. Like I said, clear 2 days is a big window. I don't know if all of you have 5 days in a week concept, but my company has. So it is very comfortable there, and I feel making up for the week in those 2 days for your family commitments and other commitments also should be a good game.
I wish Madam will pursue her CFA program, Aarti Madam, and we will involve her for volunteering activities. And we have good 2 days of her time available for all our volunteer work. So I'm very much looking forward, Madam, to convince you to join financial services industry. Some of the senior friends from HR professionals from finance industry are already here waiting to write you open offer. From my side, of course, open offer is always here to join my company. You know it very well at DSP, but I'm just saying that there was on the lighter side, but good context to get in mind, of course. And yeah, definitely the work-life balance that we think about or crave for is maybe something completely different in the armed forces. So it's a very good learning of how, in some way, if I would say, sitting in the position and in the roles that we are, we need to be very thankful for whatever we are getting.
Believe you me, guys, there are people sitting at the border areas who don't come back home for 9 months, 10 months together. In today's world, we still have mobile phones to get connected and stay connected with their families. I remember my father was posted in Kargil days, and 9 months he was out of communication. My mother didn't even know, that he's still alive or not. We had no connect with him for 9 months. So believe you me, we have come from that stage to this stage where we are connected with our families on phones, and every day we can have video calls. So I don't think that should be a problem anymore to actually have a work-life balance.
Absolutely. No, I think, friends, as we conclude, I think very interesting learnings for me personally. Whatever work you are involved with, whatever part of the industry you are belonging to, whether you are a woman entrepreneur or a woman financial services person, or you are a man working in financial services or any other industry, some of these learnings are extremely powerful, extremely invaluable learnings. And I can't thank you enough, Tripti Madam, to be with us today, to share your experiences and help us learn something from your journey. And I can't thank enough to Sir, Mr. Arya Sir. Standing ovation for both Arya Sir and Tripti Madam. Sir, if you may, I can invite you on stage, please, sir, for 1 minute.
About. So sorry, I bored you with a lot of stories.
Standing ovation for both Sir Arya Sir. Thank you very much. And Tripti Madam, greatly appreciate, sir. Greatly appreciate.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
आपकी एसोसिएशन का जो भी ऑर्गेनाइज किया इन्होंने, इसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवादी हूँ कि मुझे इस मुंबई में आने का अवसर मिला और ख़ास करके आप जैसे प्रबुद्ध लोगों से फेस टू फेस मिलने का मौका मिला, क्योंकि मैं खुद आर्मी में था, बच्चे आर्मी में थे, तो हम वो हरियाली से बाहर निकल ही नहीं पाते थे। यहाँ के रंगीन माहौल को देख करके मुझे बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है। धन्यवाद।
Thank you for the presentation. And before you go, just we wanted to felicitate you also with a very small token of appreciation for. You can be there also, and just
I request Namit, a senior industry professional, please come on stage to felicitate our keynote speaker and the moderator. Surely when women lead, whether in uniform or in business, industries transform and societies thrive. Thank you, ma'am.